now on NBC 25 News at 11.
Like your typical roadkill, just a lot worse.
Residents say the smell from a nearby business can be overwhelming, but the owner says he's not doing anything wrong.
Whether it's illegal or not, I don't actually know.
The confusion over rotting remains.
Our weather's been quiet today, but we do have some rain on the way. I'll let you know when and where to expect it in your Storm Ready weather forecast.
Growing concern about the spread of eastern equine encephalitis in Michigan.
Just tells me that we have triple E infected mosquitoes in a greater area.
I'm James Rosen in Washington, which is in the grips of impeachment fever after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's dramatic dinner time announcement. But how much did she really change the state of play?
Covering all of the Flint Bay region, NBC 25 News at 11 starts right now.
It's not something you see every day. Your neighbor dumping and burying large animal carcasses right in their backyard.
That's what people in Thetford Township say they experience every day. NBC 25's Alicia Bergio talked to the man behind the dumping, neighbors as well as township officials.
Cows, horses, amongst whatever, any animals really.
Every day, Travis Schooneman and his family say they witnessed his neighbor, Jeff Berlin, drop off dead horses and farm animals onto his property.
He just backs right in, dumps them, drags them out back with the tractor.
Berlin's family owns a business called Berlin Acres, a burial service company that picks up dead livestock across mid-Michigan and disposes of the animals' bodies. Schooneman says while it may be a business, the smell of rotting carcasses is unbearable.
It smells like your typical roadkill, just a lot worse.
It's not only the stench raising concerns, but contamination of groundwater.
20 years from now, this could kill people.
In addition to property value.
I know if I pulled into a driveway looking at a house and I seen a horse carcass sitting there going to get buried, I wouldn't probably want to move in there.
Back in July, Berlin received a cease and desist order from Thetford Township for violating a township zoning ordinance that doesn't allow the burial of animals on properties in that area. Trustee Eric Gunnels agrees it's an issue.
The residents are not exaggerating. This is, occurring. Whether it's illegal or not, I don't actually know.
Berlin would not speak to us on camera, but tells us he is not breaking the law when it comes to burying animals on his property, and claims the cease and desist order was not issued legally. He also says his attorney will be providing information to the township to prove his business is not contaminating groundwater. But regardless, neighbors just want this to stop.
There's options a man has. Sure, we can get a big burner system and cremate these animals.
In Thetford Township, Alicia Bergio, NBC 25 News.
The township says the county is currently looking into this, but they also say they have no real clear ordinance in place in the township as of yet to address how to dispose of animals.
Take a live look into downtown Flint through our NBC 25 Skynet camera. Beautiful day and evening out there. Great sunset as well. What kind of weather will be in what we will be in store for? There you go. I got it. Jamie Cagle, take it away.
Well, we have a mixed bag of sorts, if you will. We're going to have a busier weather pattern over the next several days. So we're going to be talking about when you can expect the rain and when we can expect some more beautiful weather like we had today. Right now, a little bit of cloud cover out there, but rain moving in from the west right now. And as we take a look at the temperatures, holding on to some very mild numbers, 60s, mid and low 60s across the area. Not that bad. And for tomorrow, make sure the kiddos have the rain gear. Going to need it as we go through those morning and afternoon hours. Still some mild temperatures. And for tonight, we're down around 60 degrees with the clouds on the increase. We'll time out some of that rain in your Storm Ready weather forecast.
The city of Flint is getting $1.6 million to process untested rape kits.
The money from the Department of Justice will allow investigators to go through untested kits and hopefully bring justice for the victims.
And according to Congressman Dan Kilde's office, Michigan currently has more than 1,100 untested kits, saying some of them are close to 30 years old. We reached out to Flint police to see how many of them they have, but we've not heard back. But at one point, the amount of untested kits in Flint was in the hundreds. Grants like this have brought that number way down.
I think allowing for them to actually get more kits so they can test these rape kits and get the people behind bars who deserve to be behind bars and not walking the streets of Flint.
And tonight, college students and community groups are joining forces in Flint to stand up to sexual violence.
And NBC 25's Ron Hilliard joining us right now live from the University of Michigan Flint. That's where they held their second annual Take Back the Night event this evening. Ron?
Stephanie and Dave, according to the Michigan State Police, there are more than 12,000 reports of sexual assault in the state back in 2017. And we know that it happens on college campuses. According to the Association of American Universities, a report that they did revealed that 11% of college students across the country, that includes men, report being sexually assaulted. And here on this campus, students want to make sure that they can prevent it from happening. At the University of Michigan Flint, students are here to take back the night.
Because classes can run so late, that means that women, men, everyone happens to be walking back and forth to and from classes late at night.
Empowering people with knowledge about safety and resources to report an attack.
With this moment, I feel truly united in the community and also knowing that who are my allies.
Mott Community College student Guadalupe Guerrero joined the rally as someone who has experienced sexual harassment. She says there's a stigma to reporting abuse or assaults.
Because you don't want to become another number. You don't want to be the person who felt that they weren't being safe enough, even though we all know that it's not the person's fault.
The university's Department of Public Safety says there are some things that you should know to protect yourself. On campus, there are 89 of these emergency phones spread all across campus to connect with law enforcement. Also, the chief of the department says that it's important to make sure that you walk with others, have a phone handy, maybe even pepper spray. We're live in Flint. Ron Hilliard, NBC 25 News.
Flint City Council is considering banning recreational marijuana facilities. The council voted to move forward an ordinance for a second reading that would allow the city to prevent recreational marijuana businesses from setting up shop in city limits. The city's legal department made this recommendation to consider the option, well, because the deadline for Michigan communities to opt out is November 1st. The council will take up the issue again on October 14th.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, President Donald Trump says he will release the transcript of the phone call. This comes after House speakers told reporters she is formally commencing impeachment proceedings against President Trump. But House Republicans were quick to note what Pelosi said. It didn't really move the ball farther down the field. Sinclair investigative reporter James Rosen has the very latest from Washington.
Good evening from a Capitol that has witnessed one shock after another, dating back to before the 2016 election. What's unclear tonight is whether the scandal at the heart of this new impeachment fever will have any staying power as new details emerge. Accusing President Trump of having betrayed his oath of office, the national security, and America's electoral system, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced the lower chamber is moving forward with impeachment proceedings.
I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Having earlier addressed the UN General Assembly, the president again denied any impropriety in his July 25 phone call to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
There was no pressure applied, no nothing.
Shortly after an unidentified whistleblower in the intelligence community lodged a complaint deemed urgent and credible, published reports allege Mr. Trump withheld military aid to compel the government in Kyiv to probe business dealings there involving Hunter Biden, son of the former vice president and Democratic frontrunner. The president said he withheld the aid because of corruption in Ukraine and to get European nations to chip in.
So I said, hold it up, let's get other people to pay, and there was never any quid pro quo.
To Pelosi's announcement, Mr. Trump responded with a tweet storm. Such an important day at the United Nations, so much work and so much success, and the Democrats purposely had to ruin and demean it with more breaking news witch hunt garbage. So bad for our country. He added in all caps, presidential harassment.
What she said today made no difference of what's been going on. It's no different than what Nadler's been trying to do.
President Trump announced he will release the full transcript of his call with President Zelensky. House Democrats say that before Thursday, when the acting director of national intelligence testifies before Congress, they will also want to see the whistleblower's report. And that whistleblower, meantime, has made arrangements to speak with lawmakers behind closed doors. On Capitol Hill, James Rosen, back to you.
Well, your intemperate remarks to the court are not appreciated.
Well, I apologize if they're intemperate. I don't need to be patronized, and I find it offensive.
You heard it there, a fiery exchange between a judge and a lawyer in the deadly Clio rock throwers case. The prosecution, they want to drop the charges against these 4 defendants, but with plans to then reinstate them in juvenile court. Judge Joe Farah, though, says not so fast. 17-year-old Trevor Gray, 17-year-old Alexander Miller, 18-year-old McHayden Payne, and 18-year-old Mark Sikelski, they would all have their charges dropped. The case against Kyle Inger, though, wouldn't be dismissed. But Judge Joe Farah wants to review it, saying, in effect, he has the final say. The lawyers, led by Frank and Michael Manley, disagree. They say the judge just was injecting his beliefs into this case. Those teens were all charged in the October 2017 death of Kenneth White. He was killed when a 6-pound rock was thrown off an I-75 overpass. Now, depending on what happens next, this case could also still go to the Court of Appeals as well.
Saginaw County Prosecutor's Office says the mother of Darren Mann, a 1-year-old boy who was killed in July, was arrested today. The mother is facing first-degree child abuse charges. The man was already arrested and is facing open murder charges. It happened in Carlton Township on July 10th. 2 other children were removed from the home. The mother is expected to be in court tomorrow morning. In Goodrich, the athletic director has resigned over a case now being investigated by the Michigan Attorney General. An attorney with the case says at Monday's school board meeting, Goodrich Assistant Principal and Athletic Director David Davis submitted his resignation. He's been on administrative leave since June when a letter was sent to parents about the allegations. A spokesperson for the Attorney General says they are reviewing this investigation and no charges have been filed.
We are on day 9 now of the GM strike, which is still expected to continue until an agreement is reached here.
And the members continue to fight, but it goes beyond just those in the union.
Plus, the Eastern equine encephalitis virus has been putting people on high alert in Genesee County. And it's not just happening here, but where a lot of families are spending their days off.
From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis. A U.S. Army soldier is facing charges after allegedly discussing targeting a presidential candidate and a major news agency. Army Private Jared Smith is based at Fort Riley in Kansas. The 24-year-old faces charges of distributing information related to explosives and weapons of mass destruction. Court documents show he discussed targeting Beto O'Rourke, CNN, cell towers, a local news station, and far-left-leaning Antifa activists with an undercover FBI agent. Facebook's chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, met with New Zealand's prime minister and spoke about the social network's new efforts to prevent the spread of online extremism.
Because we have to react as quickly to situations like Christchurch as we do to natural disasters or any other moment where urgency is so important.
The alleged gunman live-streamed part of that attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch, killing more than 50. From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis.
You're watching NBC 25 News at 11.
It's already almost the close of day 9 now for the UAW, and strikers are still going strong. But it's more than just UAW members on the picket line. In some cases, we're talking entire families.
Oh, with the strike, just explaining that we're out of work, and to my grandchildren as well. I have grandsons that, you know, why we're out here, and that's why we're honking, is to let everybody know that we got to fight for what we believe in.
Just trying to support my mom and trying to get money to help us.
Christy Forstner has been a production worker for 25 years. Over the last 8 days, she's had 2 of her daughters with her, one of whom works for GM as a temp. The other, you heard from their 10-year-old Jayla, who is there standing by their sides. The strike is also starting to impact those outside of the UAW, like American Axle, a company that provides axle parts for cars to GM.
GM is on strike, and they did that by choice. But people in American Axle and other places, it's not by choice. It's been forced upon them.
Those employees wanted to protect their identities, which is why we didn't show them. And it's not just American Axle. Another company that says they're starting to feel this ripple effect is Next Year Automotive. You can stay up to date with us on the latest negotiations as the strike continues by just downloading our NBC 25 app. It's easy to do. Head to the App Store and search NBC 25.
Genesee County has already been urging the community to stay safe and vigil. Well, mosquitoes have the Eastern equine encephalitis virus. It's spreading across cities over Michigan with 8 confirmed cases and 3 deaths. Now, the latest case, the Binder Park Zoo. A gray wolf pup has died from Triple E. A second pup is also being tested. The zoo now taking precautions to fight the virus. They've set up several bug spray stations around the zoo.
It's a rare disease. We don't see it very often, and we certainly don't see it in the numbers that we currently have. I think we now have more human cases in the state of Michigan than they've ever recorded.
The deaths over the U.S. this year is 9, along with 27 human cases in 6 different states this year.
Now, your certified NBC 25 Storm Ready forecast.
Good evening, Mid-Michigan. Well, we're going to start out with a look at the current conditions as we check out our Flint Skynet camera. Right now, very quiet out there, but things are going to be changing as we look ahead to our Wednesday. 66 degrees, clear skies, dew point 55 degrees. So again, holding on to comfortable conditions in the meantime. But we do have some showers and thunderstorms just to our west right now. The clouds will be building in through the overnight hours. The good news is this line of extensive rain, as strong as it is right now, is expected to weaken as it approaches. We still have the chance of some thunderstorms, but our risk for severe weather is very, very low for tomorrow. Let's take a look at the regional temperatures. Again, just a little bit of a warm up right along with those strong southwest winds, a cold front coming our way, and the showers and thunderstorms, but no big temperature swings really showing up. We do have the humidity. The additional rainfall pushes those dew points up, so we'll have an uptick to that humidity tomorrow, at least for just a little while. Temperatures will reach for the mid-70s, and for the most part, mostly cloudy skies. Partly to mostly cloudy throughout the day, and all of us should have a chance at some rain as it comes across the lower peninsula. Take a look at this as we go through the overnight hours. The clouds are building in. 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Rain still to our west, so as you're heading out the door tomorrow morning, you may not necessarily need the rain gear, but as we go through the afternoon hours, you can see how this kind of makeshift line of rain, if you will, rather weak at the noon hour, slides through the lower peninsula. So again, may not have a direct hit with some isolated rain, but you have a chance of it as it moves through. Quite possibly a little bit of spotty rain coming through during the evening hours, but I think our biggest risk will be the later morning and early afternoon hours, 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m. as it moves through the lower peninsula. A little uptick in the humidity drop off. We have our cold front coming through, so Thursday we have a little drop off, a little uptick as we get into Friday, and a little drop off as we go through the weekend. It starts to pick up as we go into Monday, so still leaning towards the possibility of a mainly dry weekend. So as far as the yard work forecast is concerned, tomorrow we'll leave it in the poor column, but if you can dodge the rain, you might be able to squeeze out a couple of projects tomorrow. But looking great for Thursday. We'll leave Saturday, Sunday mainly dry right now, and we'll remain optimistic for that weekend weather, but it is going to be a wet end to our work week and a wet start to next week's work week, but it is going to be warm, actually hot, 80 degrees there.
Just ignore Friday, Gina. You don't have to
I
look
am
at it.
looking right past it and not holding it against you, Jamie. Busy day at MSU, good weather for that at least. We will check in with Mark D'Antonio, who addressed the media, as well as Tom Izzo, who held, believe it or not, his first official preseason practice. Plus, the Firebirds are hugging it out ahead of their home opener in Flint. Aw, what the team says ahead of this weekend's action.
Now, NBC 25 Sports, brought to you by Dordt Federal Credit Union.
The Flint Firebirds have their home opener on Saturday, and they're riding a little bit of momentum from this weekend's big win in the I-75 Divide Cup against Saginaw. It was a huge boost for Flint, and it's just a step to build off of last season.
Especially the last couple of years, they've had our number, and we got our fair ground in that game. We pulled out the dub for that game, so we got a big week of practice this week, and we're going to get ourselves prepared for this weekend.
We were almost 500 in the second half, not the greatest start, but it feels good to get the first one out of the way and many more to come.
As you can see, camaraderie is at an all-time high in Flint, and albeit early, head coach Eric Wellwood says he's already seeing significant improvement from last season, where they finished last in the West at 16-46. Now, one of the biggest areas of growth that he is seeing is the defensive zone structure starting to take shape.
You know, they've had a tough go here the last couple of years, and I think they're ready to go. They want to be a part of a team that has success, and they're willing to do what is necessary to have that success. And when you have them bought in, you know, it makes my job a lot easier.
There is good news and bad news for Michigan football. Bad news first. In a poll of 13,500 people done by Insight Pest, the Wolverines were voted as the third most annoying football program. But here's the good news, everybody. The world is still more annoyed by Ohio State. The Buckeyes ranked second as the program that most bugged people. Michigan third in front of everybody at number one handedly is Alabama. Now, as MSU gets set for homecoming against Indiana, their national leading defense is making headlines. They are third in rush defense, fifth in total defense, and ninth in sacks. Their leader, Joe Bacci, was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week again. So on the other side of things, the offense definitely making the improvement that people needed to see. Brian Lewerke ranks third in the Big Ten in passing and total offense as a whole. The Spartans went 4 from 5 from the red zone on Saturday. That is an offense that Mark D'Antonio is finally pleased with.
I think our quarterback's playing well, and gives you always, when your quarterback plays well, it always gives you a chance. And he's playing very well with only one pick. Tough to sack.
Let's talk a little bit of basketball now. The Spartans held their first official preseason practice today, 6 weeks out from their season opener against Kentucky. Tom Izzo is aware of the challenge of a tough schedule. He says their goals are to win championships and get better, not necessarily win 40 games a season. That is why he schedules teams like Kentucky in the fall.
What happens in October, November, December matters to me, and only from the standpoint of us learning what we got to do with our team. I said it a million times. It started with John Chaney explaining to me that if you play good people, you figure out if you're not very good. You figure out if you are very good. You figure out what you want and what you don't want.
Let's relish in Sunday's win over Philly just a little bit longer. And Detroit fans definitely have the right to talk about dropping the ball, don't we? We live through Eric Ebron. So, Nelson Agholor, he's been catching a lot of slack the last 2 games for drops like this one against the Lions on Sunday. Well, in the most petty and Philly fashion possible, how's this for getting called out?
I ran back downstairs. By that time, the ladder truck was pulling up, and ironically, one of my old coworkers took the ladder off the truck, raised it up, and was assisting people down. My man just started throwing babies out the window. And we was catching it, unlike Agholor.
A burn at the scene of a fire. How good of a sport, though, is Nelson Agholor. Take a look at this. He saw the interview from Sunday night, and on Twitter, his way of responding, not by only thanking him for being a local hero, but also by inviting that Philly fan, that bitter Philly fan, to the next Eagles home game. You got to pull for a guy like that who handles a situation like that. So
it's crazy. Hilarious. That's one way to call him out. You know, we're just catching babies over here.
I know. It went viral. I think everyone saw it, but I thought the way he responded was so awesome.
Really cool.
Very cool.
Jamie's the next. Final look at our forecast.
It is time to check out our Chime-In Gallery. We want you to get involved always by sending us your pictures and videos like this one, a cute dog here all ready for fall. A puppy, really. That comes from viewer Michelle. Thanks for sharing.
Cute.
How very cute indeed. Puppy pictures. You can't go wrong with puppy. Can't go wrong at all. But we do have some scattered rain coming through the area for tomorrow. I'd say from about 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m. from west to east. If you have your Storm Ready Weather app downloaded, well, you already have your radar, and it's going to be windy.
And then it's all going to go away by Friday for football,
yes,
right?
It is, Jamie Cagle.